Have your pets as part of the plan. Right? Pets are people too. If you do have to go to a shelter, if it gets that bad, pets aren't allowed with the seeing eye dog. It's a health issue. If you have kids, know what they do, know where they go, and then practice them. Right? Just touch it. Right? Send the email out every couple months just to play with it, just so you get used to it. So when it hits, you can at least kind of go through the checklist. Okay, this is what I got to do. Right? Peace of mind stuff is worth $1 million. If you guys do, I don't know if you have kids in school. I don't, but know what the authorizations are. If you guys do have kids, how to release them. They might go home with their friend's mom, right? And then you don't know where they went. That stuff happens. And then make sure the school has stockpiles for stuff. Earthquakes. Everyone know what to do in an earthquake? Is everyone from California? Is anyone in Loma Prieta? Okay. So you guys know what to do? Duck, cover, hold. Okay, pretty simple stuff.
What's a triangle thing? I thought you were supposed to like...
No, triangle.
In the refrigerator.
What?
You get in the refrigerator and close the door.
I did. I saw like things fall around you and like on you.
Yeah. Well, so there's two. One was a door and one was a triangle of life. The triangle of life is a concept that said this guy was in like Mexico City or it's Afghanistan or something, and an earthquake hit, and everybody was smushed, right? The floors collapsed, and so what he found was that if you get sort of on at an edge of a table, if something falls, it'll kind of fall on you and create this sort of angle, right? You kind of create this little pocket that works in which is a fine idea, but it only works like in a third world country, right? You're not really going to have a structural collapse where the water ceiling is going to fall, especially like in San Francisco, in a first world country where you have earthquakes, right? It's just things that will fall on you, but you're not as likely to have a building collapse, right? As far as doorways and jams, that actually, I have a little story about that. That actually came from the missions. When we used to build the missions, they'd actually put the oak around the doors. In a lot of buildings like this, the doors are just sort of designed, right? It's just you cut a hole in the wall. There's nothing structural around it. Right? There's nothing load-bearing on a lot of these doors. Gunner on a table. Simple. Anyone been in a fire?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fires are just terrible. That's my warning here. Oops. Fire's no good. We respond to a lot of them here in the city. You know, say what happens with a fire. First thing the fire department does, they put a hole in your roof, and then go around to all the walls. They start tearing down on the walls and dumping water down the walls, right? Because fire spreads so fast. So always know 2 ways out in case of a fire. The first one's obviously the door. If you get to the door and it's really hot, there's probably a fire on the other side. Don't go out that door. The second way out is usually the window, right? Check your windows, especially here in the city. A lot of times they're painted shut from the outside, or you try to crank it and the crank will break, right? So make sure you can get out. Also, it could be smoky and dark. Usually fires happen at night, and so it gets disorienting. Right? So what the fire department says is get to a wall, put your shoulder against it so you at least have some type of frame of reference, get on your knees, and start crawling out. Eventually you'll find a way. If you get to a place where it's blocked, you just turn around, shoulder to the wall so you have perspective of what's going on, go out the other way. Right? And then get out and stay out. Don't go back in. Okay, questions on the plan? We're all good? Again, just email out and you get back to your desk. What do we do? So, getting a kit. So we have one guy here with a kit, is that correct? It's good.
I have a kit and a kit in the car.
Winner.
Car's been kid.
Winner.
And then there's Andre, who I won't be sharing anymore. No, I have one in the car. I have like dog food even.
Yeah.
Because not to eat for myself. I think we all know where.
It gets really bad. You get the Purina right
I
there.
will jump over her for that dog food.
So kits are so important, right? And people think of kits and they think, you know, okay, I'm going to need a kit in case, you know, a missile comes and hits a house and I need to run out of the house real quickly, right? Yes, that might happen, but in most cases, that's not why you need a kit. if you look at cases like the LA fire, there's all these studies on this, which is a really good example, which is you get hours to plan stuff in many cases. And so what happens is, in the case of LA fire, someone comes up, they knock on your door and says, hey, fire's coming, you get an hour or so, we're going to come back, we got to take you to a shelter because when you come back, your house isn't going to be here. Right? So pack up what you can and you're going to go. Right? I mean, you try that out for size, right? Come on. And so now you're stuck with, I have to go around my house and figure out what's important to me. Right? And you think about your house today and what's important to you. It's like, well, you work for it, you bought it, you think it's cool, right? It's all good stuff. And so what happens is people get to these shelters and they're sitting there on their cot and they're crying because they have a blender, a toaster, and a fur coat. And they can't believe that they took that stuff. And they look up and the person across from them did the exact same thing. Right? And that's common. Right? And it's just because what happens is, oh my God, what do I take? Right? So the kids, as much as they are, yes, there's an emergency, but the kid is also, think about it while you have the time to. Think about it while you're normal. Right? And I tell you, I respond to fires around the city, and I had one recently where, here's a funny example, not even that bad. It was like a 6-story building, back couple units burned, no one got hurt. Happened at 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Right? Football was still going on. And so people, okay, fire, alarm gets pulled, people go outside in the street, grab their coats, they leave. Fire department comes, right? Put it out. An hour later, it sparks back up. Right before they leave, they have to go back in, turn off at 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, right? Finally put it out again. Right? Then they do all the smoke stuff, it's like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. People are just sitting out in the street, right? And they took a coat and they're still in their pajamas. Right? So anyway, so finally it comes down and says, okay, well, you guys can go back in, but there's no power, there's no water, so you can't stay here for a couple of days. So we're going to let you back in, give you a trash bag, right? Or you can grab your suitcase if you get there. You get 20 minutes, take what you can and go. Right? So I teach this class, right? So I'm like, okay, what are people really going to take here, right? There's no stress, right? There's no sort of immediate danger. Everyone's had time to kind of chill out. So I'm walking people up, they go into their room, they got a pile of laundry, they start stuffing their laundry in their bag. Right? Or they just start, and you watch it, and it's just because where do you even begin? Right? You got 20 minutes. I mean, where do you even start? Right? And it's just what happens. It's not, and people think it's not going to happen. I'm not going to freak out. I'm not like that. Good luck. Right? That's what the kit's for. Right? So with that being said, plan for 3, but ideally 7. Kit ideas. What do you think you're going to need? Passport and documentation is key. I tell you, I was at a fire in a mission. It was this Chinese couple there. They just immigrated. All their documentation, immigration papers gone. Easily a year, right? In fact, even after I was there after Katrina, like about a year later or so, every billboard was from a lawyer saying, "I can get your insurance money." Right? The entire Bay Area has a major quake or a major disaster. Everybody's making claims, right? Passport, insurance, right? Go around your house, take a camera every now and again, email it to yourself, right? This stuff is big time stuff, right? That's the month afterwards. That's not even when it happens. That's just, okay, trying to get my life back together, right? Anyone else?
Change of clothes.
Change of clothes goes a long way, especially if you got to walk home, have a pair of shoes in your car. Anyone else? Water, right? Gallon per person per day, right? And remember, water is heavy, right? So I have, for example, I have an 8-gallon jug in my house, and a gallon with the wheels on it, because 8 gallons of water is 60 pounds, right? So if you have to move it somewhere and you got 60 pounds of water, that's a lot of fun.
Desalination.
Desalination. Everyone know how to desalinate their water? Someone knows.
Taking the salt out of the water, because if we have a tsunami, all of our water sources are going to be flooded with sea salt or ocean salt, so it's not drinkable. So you have to desalinate the water.
You boil it?
No, you have to evaporate it.
Anyone else?
Medications.
Medications, big deal. If a state of emergency is declared, if you have empty pill bottles in your go bag, in your kit, you can go to any pharmacy and they'll refill it during the state of emergency, right? So if you can just have an empty pill bottle in the bag, good idea. Okay.
What about like simple tools or something, like a knife or scissors or?
Tools, gloves, right? So if there's anything, if you got I have a little destructo hammer thing. Good thing, what great thing to have, right?
Cash.
Yeah, both of those. Cash, small bills, right? ATMs are not working and you're not getting change for hundos, right? So have 5, 10s, 20s to buy stuff. Flashlight, of course, candles, right? When it's dark and there's if you guys are in Loma Prieta, like after an earthquake, it's freaky because everything's quiet, right? So a little light goes a long way.
About matches, anything else?
Matches, good one. I like the candles.
It's really cool.
What's that?
It was really cool, because everyone kind of came together during it, you know, it was like, all the communities, like your neighbors that you never ever talked to, they start talking to.
Yeah. Anything else?
Food for some kind?
Food, of course, food and water. I mean, those are the basics, right? Make sure that a lot of food, when you store it, it can be salty. So make sure if you do buy food like at REI or whatnot, it's low sodium, right? The more sodium you have, the more water you need, et cetera, et cetera. Anything else? Go through the big list. Food and water we talked about. Flashlight, of course. First aid kit, right? You can get those anywhere. Very good to have. A radio. I can't say again. Get a radio. Get some type of communication, right? The other thing, one guy added in a class once, which is brilliant, which I went out and bought the next day, which is a solar recharger for your cell phones. This guy, he had a great story. He said he was out on the East Coast last year. They had some like major snowstorm. He was with his brother, and power was out for a week. If you think about it, East Coast gets snow a lot, right? Having a power outage because of winter it happens, right? So he had a solar charger for his phone. He was the only guy for blocks who had cellular connection. Right? Your cell phone lasts what, 6 hours, 12 hours, right? You turn off data, right? So you have no power for after your cell phone. It's a big deal. Those things are like 30, 40, 50 bucks, depending on what you get. It's a good thing to have.
In Loma, all the cell phone towers got knocked over too.
And it's really bad.
Yeah.
Communication, in emergencies, communication is the #1 issue. Any paper you read about any major disaster, communication is always a top issue. Right? Clothing, we talked about. Medications, talked about cash and coins. Sanitary supplies. It's dirty, right? You have no water. It's dirty. This is where disease happens. Secondly, one of the biggest things that came out of Tokyo was toilet paper, right? Have toilet paper and have trash bags. You put 2 in your toilet, right? You use one till you can't take anymore. Take it out, tie it in a knot, throw it in your neighbor's yard, right? And use it again because there's no running water, right? This is being sanitary is disease, right? Have stuff for that, and it's something you don't always think about. But a few rolls and plastic bags you could have. Important papers we talked about. Contact information. A lot of times, you know, I know my parents' home phone number, and like some guy from my grade school didn't even talk to me anymore. Write it down inside your phone, some phone numbers, and a map. Okay. Any questions on the kit?
How big should it be? Like a backpack? I mean, like you can't put
You should ideally you want 3 of them, right? You want one for a heater, right? So it happens during the day. You can camp out a bit, wait it out, and maybe make it home the next day. Or in your car, if you're gonna have to walk home, and especially if you're in heels or something like that, if you have to go a handful of miles or a lot of miles, having an old pair of tennis shoes is helpful. And then in your home, some people recommend a backpack. The problem with giving this class, I got so much crap because everybody's, oh, you need this, you need that. Now I have this big, after college I did the Europe trip in the backpack. Now I got this big thing full of so much junk. But as you start thinking about it, you'll just come up with ideas that you'll need, that are important to you. Right? Everyone's going to be a little bit different, but just think about different types of needs you'll have for your friends, your family. Right? Maybe you live in a high-rise building, you want a rope. Things like that. Anyone else? Sorry.